Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The weekend was supposed to be ordinary. The kind of weekend where my wife, Claire, would visit my mom for some much-needed bonding time, and I'd catch up on work, maybe watch a game or two. But from the moment she walked out the door that Friday morning, something didn't sit right. Maybe it was the way she kissed me goodbye, hurried, like she was eager to leave, or the way she avoided my eyes when I asked her if she needed anything for the trip. I should have known. But hindsight is always 20/20ths. Don't forget to take care of yourself, Michael, Claire had said, flashing me a quick smile before disappearing into the garage. The sound of her car starting was followed by the crunch of gravel as she pulled out of the driveway. I stood by the window, sipping my coffee, watching until her car was a distant speck on the horizon. The house felt different without her in it. Quieter. Colder, even. I shook off the feeling and headed to my office, determined to immerse myself in work and ignore the nagging suspicion that something was off. Hours passed, and I barely noticed the time slipping away until my phone buzzed with a text. I glanced at the screen, expecting it to be Claire, maybe checking in from the road. But it wasn't. It was a message from my cousin, Ryan. "Hey man, what's up? Haven't heard from you in a while. Everything good?" Ryan and I had always been close, practically brothers growing up. But life had a way of pulling us in different directions, and we hadn't caught up in months. I stared at the message for a moment, considering my response. Maybe catching up with Ryan would be a good distraction. "Yeah, just busy with work. How about you?" I typed back. His response was almost immediate. "All good here. Just got back from a little getaway. Needed some R&R, you know." Getaway. That word struck a chord. Claire had mentioned something about wanting to go somewhere for the weekend, but she'd settled on visiting my mom instead. I felt a strange knot tighten in my stomach. "Where'd you go?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Ryan's reply came with a photo. A picturesque resort by the lake, the kind of place Claire had always loved. My heart skipped a beat as I zoomed in on the image. It was taken from a distance, but I could make out the silhouette of a couple standing on a balcony, arms wrapped around each other. The woman had Claire's distinctive long, auburn hair, the way it caught the light and shimmered like fire. No. It couldn't be. "Nice spot," I replied, my hands trembling slightly as I typed. "Who'd you go with?" Ryan's response felt like a punch to the gut. "Just me and a friend. Needed to unwind. You should try it sometime. Give my best to Claire." I stared at the message, my mind racing. The pieces were starting to fall into place, and the picture they painted was ugly. The woman in the photo, the way Ryan deflected my question, it all pointed to one horrifying conclusion. I called my mom, hoping for some reassurance that Claire was with her. Maybe I was just being paranoid, jumping to conclusions too quickly. "Hey, Mom," I said when she picked up. "Just wanted to check in. Is Claire there?" There was a pause on the other end, and I could hear the TV in the background. "Claire? No, honey. She's not here. I thought she decided to stay home this weekend." My heart sank. "Yeah, I just thought I'd check. Maybe she got delayed or something." Mom hummed, clearly distracted. "Well, you know how it is. She probably just needed some time for herself. You two have been working hard lately. Don't worry, she'll be back before you know it." "Yeah," I murmured, trying to mask the dread creeping into my voice. "Thanks, Mom. I'll talk to you later." I hung up, my mind spinning. The pieces were all there, and they fit together too perfectly to ignore. Claire wasn't at my mom's. She hadn't been delayed. She had lied to me, and not just about where she was going. She was with someone else. My own cousin, of all people. I felt sick. The kind of sickness that gnaws at your insides, making your chest tight and your vision blur. But more than that, I felt anger, raw, burning anger that threatened to consume me. Claire had betrayed me. Ryan had betrayed me. The people I trusted most in the world had ripped my life apart without a second thought. But I wasn't going to let them get away with it. I stood up, pacing the length of my office, my thoughts racing. I needed a plan. Something that would make them both regret ever crossing me. But first, I needed proof, something undeniable, something I could confront Claire with, something that would tear their little world apart. I grabbed my jacket and car keys, a sense of determination settling over me. If Claire and Ryan thought they could play me for a fool, they were dead wrong. They might have taken this weekend for themselves, but by the time it was over, they wouldn't know what hit them. As I drove towards the resort, my hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My heart pounded with a mixture of dread and resolve. I was about to confront the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone. But she wasn't the woman I thought she was. Not anymore. And after this weekend, I wouldn't be the man she thought she could deceive. I would make sure of that. As I pulled into the resort's parking lot, I spotted Ryan's car. My stomach churned at the sight of it, a cold reminder that this was real, that they were here together, laughing, smiling, completely unaware that their little secret was about to be blown wide open. I stepped out of the car, my heart pounding in my chest, and walked towards the entrance. The night was dark and silent, as if the world was holding its breath, waiting for the storm to hit. And hit it would. This was just the beginning. And by the time I was done, nothing would ever be the same again. The lobby of the resort is all polished marble and soft lighting, a place designed to make you feel at ease. But as I step inside, the serene atmosphere only fuels the anger bubbling beneath my skin. My eyes scan the room, searching for familiar faces, though I'm not entirely sure what I'll do if I find them here, laughing at some private joke, oblivious to the storm brewing just outside. A young woman behind the reception desk greets me with a professional smile. Her name tag reads Emily. She's probably in her early 20s, with bright eyes that are too trusting for someone working the night shift at a place like this. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Pinewood Resort. Do you have a reservation? Her voice is cheery, practiced, as if nothing could ever go wrong in this perfect little world. I force a smile, trying to keep the edge out of my voice. I'm actually looking for someone. My wife, Claire. She checked in earlier today. Emily's smile falters slightly, and she taps at her keyboard, her eyes flicking up to mine. May I ask what your last name is? I hesitate for a moment, then decide it's better to keep things simple. Wilkins. Her fingers fly across the keys, and after a few moments, she looks up with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry, Mr. Wilkins, but I don't see a reservation under that name. Of course, they wouldn't have checked in under our real name. They're smarter than that. Maybe she used her maiden name. I suggest, leaning in slightly as if the proximity might coax the truth out of her. Moore. Claire Moore. She's with my cousin, Ryan Hargrove. Emily frowns, her brow furrowing in concentration as she searches the system. After a few tense moments, she shakes her head. I'm sorry, but I don't have anyone by that name either. I clench my fists at my sides, frustration gnawing at me. Claire and Ryan must have used different names entirely. But I'm not about to leave empty-handed. Listen, I say, trying to keep my tone friendly but firm, I know they're here. Could you at least tell me if a couple matching their description checked in today? Emily hesitates, clearly torn between her duty to maintain guest privacy and the concern in my voice. She glances around, as if making sure no one is listening, then leans in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. I really shouldn't, but there was a couple who checked in earlier today. They looked about the same age as you, and the woman had long, auburn hair. They didn't give their names when they arrived, but they seemed very close. My heart pounds in my chest. It's them. It has to be. Which room? Emily bites her lip, looking conflicted. I can't give you their room number, sir. But they did ask for one of the honeymoon suites. If you go up to the 4th floor, you might find them. I thank her quickly, leaving her looking worried as I stride toward the elevator. The resort's calm, picturesque charm feels like a cruel joke now, a thin veneer covering the ugly truth that's about to be exposed. The elevator doors slide shut, and I'm left alone with my thoughts as it ascends. My heart races, a drumbeat of anger and betrayal that echoes in my ears. My mind plays out 1,000 scenarios, each one more volatile than the last, but I push them away. I need to stay calm. I need to be smart about this. The elevator dings, and the doors open to the 4th floor. The hallway is quiet, with plush carpeting that muffles my footsteps as I make my way toward the honeymoon suites. I pass a few doors, the numbers etched into the wood in elegant script, until I reach the end of the hall. There it is. Suite 407. I stand outside the door, my hand hovering over the handle. For a moment, I hesitate. What if I'm wrong? What if this is all just some horrible misunderstanding? But deep down, I know the truth. Claire and Ryan are behind that door, and they're not here to catch up on old times. I take a deep breath and knock. The sound is too loud in the quiet hallway, echoing off the walls like a shot. I wait, every second dragging out into an eternity. For a moment, I think they might not answer, that they're too wrapped up in each other to hear the knock. But then I hear footsteps, soft and hesitant, approaching the door. It swings open, and there she is. Claire. My wife. The woman I promised to love and cherish until death do us part. She's standing in front of me in a bathrobe, her hair damp as if she's just stepped out of the shower. Her eyes widen in shock, and for a split second, we just stare at each other, the air between us thick with unspoken words. Michael, she breathes, her voice barely above a whisper. What are you doing here? My chest tightens, the betrayal cutting deeper than I ever thought possible. I could ask you the same thing. She opens her mouth to speak, but before she can say anything, Ryan appears behind her, shirtless and looking just as stunned. The sight of him, so casual in my wife's presence, sends a fresh wave of anger surging through me. Michael, it's not what it looks like, Ryan starts, his voice laced with a mixture of guilt and fear. Save it, I snap, pushing past Claire into the room. I don't want to hear any more lies. The suite is just as luxurious as I imagined, with a king-sized bed draped in soft linens, a bottle of champagne on the nightstand, and rose petals scattered across the floor. The sight of it all makes my stomach turn. Michael, please, Claire pleads, her voice trembling. Let's talk about this. We can explain. Explain what? I interrupt, my voice rising with every word. How you lied to me. How you went behind my back with him. I point at Ryan, who flinches under my glare. My own cousin. Ryan steps forward, trying to play the peacemaker. Look, man, this isn't how we wanted you to find out. We were going to tell you, but. But what? I shout, the anger boiling over. You thought you'd have a nice little weekend getaway before breaking the news. How long has this been going on? How long have you two been sneaking around behind my back? Claire's face crumples, and for a moment, I see the guilt and regret in her eyes. But it's not enough. It's too little, too late. Michael, I'm so sorry, she whispers, tears welling up in her eyes. It just happened. We didn't mean to hurt you. Didn't mean to hurt me. I repeat, Incredulous. You've been lying to me, cheating on me, and you didn't mean to hurt me. Ryan tries to step in again, but I'm done listening. I turn to Claire, the woman I thought I knew, the woman who's shattered my heart into a million pieces. You were supposed to be at my mom's, Claire. You lied to me. How could you do this? She doesn't answer, just stands there, tears streaming down her face. It's the sight of her crying that finally breaks something inside me. The anger gives way to a crushing sadness, the weight of it almost bringing me to my knees. I loved you, I say, my voice raw with emotion. I trusted you. And with those words, the final thread holding our marriage together snaps. I can see it in her eyes, the realization that there's no coming back from this, no way to undo the damage that's been done. I'll be out of your lives by the time you get back, I say, my voice cold and detached, as if I'm talking to strangers. Don't worry. You won't have to sneak around anymore. I turn on my heel and walk out, leaving them standing there, too stunned to follow. The door slams shut behind me, and with it, I leave behind everything I once held dear. As I make my way back down the hallway, the weight of what just happened starts to sink in. My life, my marriage, everything I thought I knew has been ripped apart in a matter of minutes. But there's no time for self-pity. I have to move forward. I have to start thinking about what comes next. And as I step back into the elevator, I know one thing for sure, this isn't over. Claire and Ryan may think they've gotten away with it, but they haven't seen the last of me. Not by a long shot. The drive back home feels like it takes forever, every mile stretching out as the events of the night replay in my mind. My hands are still trembling, gripping the steering wheel so hard that my knuckles are white. The anger, the betrayal, and the crushing weight of what I just witnessed pulse through me like a relentless tide. By the time I pull into the driveway, the house looks like a hollow shell, devoid of the warmth it once held. It's a place that used to be filled with laughter, love, and the promise of a future together. Now, it feels like a mausoleum, a monument to everything I've lost. I step out of the car and head inside, slamming the door behind me. The sound echoes through the empty house, reminding me that I'm alone. Truly alone. But as the silence settles, another emotion takes root. Revenge. It's not enough to walk away and leave them to their sordid little affair. They need to pay for what they've done. Both of them. They need to feel the same pain they've inflicted on me, and I'm going to make sure they do. I walk into the kitchen, the place where Claire and I shared so many meals, so many conversations. The sight of it makes my stomach turn, but I push the feelings down. I don't have time to wallow. I need a plan. I pull out my phone and scroll through my contacts until I find the number I'm looking for. Jackson Coleman. He's an old friend from college, the kind of guy who knows how to get things done, no questions asked. We've kept in touch over the years, and I know he owes me a favor or two. I hit the call button, and after a few rings, he picks up. Michael, my man. It's been a while. How's it going? Jackson's voice is as upbeat as ever, completely oblivious to the storm that's brewing on my end. Hey, Jackson, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. I need your help. It's personal. There's a pause on the other end, and when Jackson speaks again, his tone is more serious. What's going on? You sound off, man. I found out Claire's been cheating on me. With my cousin, Ryan. Jackson lets out a low whistle. Damn, that's messed up. What do you need from me? I need to ruin them, I say, the words coming out colder than I expected. I want to hit them where it hurts. But I need it to be subtle, something they won't see coming until it's too late. Jackson doesn't hesitate. I've got a few ideas. But it's going to take some time and resources. You sure you want to go down this road? There's no coming back once you start. I'm sure, I say, the the resolve in my voice solidifying. Whatever it takes, Jackson. I want them to regret ever betraying me. All right, Jackson replies, his voice firm. First things first, you need to gather any evidence you have on them. Photos, messages, anything that proves they've been sneaking around. We'll use that to set the stage. I've already got a photo, I say, thinking back to the image Ryan sent me earlier. And I saw them together at the resort. That should be enough to start, right? It's a good start, Jackson agrees. But we need more if we're going to bury them. Here's what I want you to do. Go through Claire's things, her phone, her emails, anything that might have clues about their relationship. If we can find proof that they've been doing this for a while, we can use it against them. The thought of rifling through Claire's things feels invasive, but I push the discomfort aside. She lost any right to privacy the moment she decided to cheat on me. Got it, I say, already mentally mapping out the plan. What's next? Once we have enough evidence, we'll start the second phase, Jackson continues, his voice taking on a conspiratorial tone. We're going to make their lives hell. Sabotage Ryan's job, his relationships, everything. As for Claire, well, we'll make sure she's left with nothing. I nod, even though he can't see me. I'll get started tonight. I'll call you when I have something. Good. And Michael? Take care of yourself. Don't let this consume you, all right? I won't, I lie, knowing full well that I'm already too deep to turn back. We hang up, and I head upstairs to the bedroom. The room feels different now, like a crime scene, tainted by the betrayal that took place behind my back. I start with Claire's nightstand, pulling open the drawer and sifting through the contents. It's mostly mundane, books, a journal, some loose change, but then I find her phone charger, tucked away at the back. A sinking feeling settles in my stomach as I realize her phone might hold the answers I'm looking for. I search the room until I find it, plugged in and charging on her dresser. I pick it up, hesitating for a moment before unlocking it. I know Claire's passcode, her birthdate, something that used to make me smile at how predictable she was. As soon as I'm in, I head straight to her messages. There are texts from friends, colleagues, and then I see Ryan's name. My heart hammers in my chest as I open the thread, scanning through the messages. It doesn't take long to find what I'm looking for. Ryan, I can't wait to see you this weekend. I've booked the suite, same one as last time. We'll have all the time in the world. Claire, I've been counting down the days. I miss you. The anger that had simmered inside me erupts into a full-blown fury. They've been planning this for a while, sneaking around behind my back, and they didn't even bother to hide it well. I take screenshots of the messages, saving them to my own phone. There are photos too, some of them innocent enough, selfies at family gatherings, holiday snapshots, but then there are the ones that make my blood run cold. Pictures of them together, smiling, laughing, in places I thought Claire had visited alone. I dig deeper, checking her emails, her social media accounts, and every corner of her digital life that I can access. It's like peeling back layers of a wound, each discovery more painful than the last. But I need this. I need every piece of evidence if I'm going to destroy them. By the time I'm done, it's well past midnight. I sit on the edge of the bed, my mind racing as I try to piece together the next steps. Jackson's right, I need to be smart about this. I can't let them see me coming. I pick up the phone again and dial another number, this time for a private investigator I know through a mutual friend. If anyone can help me dig up more dirt on Ryan and Claire, it's him. Hey, it's Michael Wilkins, I say when he answers. I need your help. Can we meet tomorrow? Sure thing, Michael, the PI replies, his voice gruff and no nonsense. What's the job? I need you to follow someone. 2 people, actually. I want to know where they go, who they talk to, everything. And I need it done quietly. No problem. Text me the details, and I'll get started first thing in the morning. I hang up, feeling a strange sense of calm settle over me. The plan is in motion. I'm not sure where it will lead, but one thing is certain, I'm not going to let them get away with this. I lie down on the bed, staring up at the ceiling, the events of the day replaying in my mind. Claire and Ryan have no idea what's coming. They think they've won, that they've pulled one over on me, but they're wrong. This is just the beginning. By the time I'm done, they'll wish they had never crossed me. And as sleep finally claims me, I know that tomorrow will bring me one step closer to making them pay. The next few days are a blur of careful planning and quiet rage. Every moment I'm not at work, I'm coordinating with Jackson and the private investigator, piecing together the puzzle of Claire and Ryan's betrayal. I've gathered more than enough evidence to ruin them both, but as I move closer to the final confrontation, I can't shake the feeling that there's something I'm missing, some detail just beyond my grasp. But that doesn't stop me. The plan is set. All that's left is to execute it. It's Friday evening when everything comes to a head. I've arranged to meet Claire and Ryan at my house, under the pretense of having a civil conversation about the situation. I can tell by the tone of their responses that they're both uneasy, but they agree to come. They have no idea what's about to hit them. I sit in the living room, waiting. The clock ticks loudly, each second a reminder that this is it, the end of everything. The evidence I've gathered is spread out on the coffee table, printouts of their text messages, photos of them together, even the records from the private investigator, detailing every secret meeting, every lie. Finally, I hear a car pull into the driveway. My heart pounds as I stand up, steeling myself for what's to come. A moment later, the front door opens, and Claire steps inside, followed closely by Ryan. They both look tense, their eyes darting around as if expecting some kind of ambush. "Michael," Claire says, her voice soft, almost pleading. "Thank you for agreeing to talk. We didn't want things to end this way." I nod, motioning for them to sit. Neither did I. They sit down on the couch, and I take the armchair across from them, the evidence laid out between us like a battlefield. I see Claire's eyes flicker to the papers, her face paling as she realizes what they are. "What is this?" Ryan asks, his voice tight with apprehension. "This," I say, my voice cold and steady, "is everything you two have been hiding from me. Every lie, every secret, all laid out for you to see." Claire's hand trembles as she reaches for one of the printouts, her eyes scanning the text. "Michael, Save it," I snap, cutting her off. "I don't want to hear any more excuses. You two thought you could play me for a fool, that I wouldn't find out. But you were wrong. I know everything." Ryan shifts uncomfortably, his eyes narrowing as he looks at the evidence. "So what's your plan, Michael? You've got your proof. What are you going to do with it?" I lean forward, my gaze locked on his. "I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of people you really are. I'm going to ruin you, Ryan. Your job, your relationships, everything you've built, I'm going to tear it down. And me?" Claire's voice is barely a whisper, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and guilt. "What are you going to do to me?" I pause, the weight of her question hanging in the air. Part of me wants to hurt her, to make her feel the same pain she's caused me. But another part of me, the part that still remembers the woman I fell in love with, hesitates. "You," I say, my voice softening just slightly, "are going to leave. And you're never going to look back. As far as I'm concerned, Claire, you're dead to me." The words hit her like a blow, and I see her flinch, tears welling up in her eyes. But she doesn't argue. She knows she deserves it. Ryan opens his mouth to speak, but before he can say anything, the front door swings open, and Jackson strides in, a grim look on his face. I'm surprised to see him. He wasn't supposed to be here until later. But the expression he's wearing tells me something's wrong. Michael, he says, his voice urgent. We need to talk. Now. What's going on? I ask, frowning as I stand up. Jackson glances at Claire and Ryan, then back at me, clearly uncomfortable. It's about the investigation. There's something you need to know. I follow Jackson into the hallway, away from the living room where Claire and Ryan sit in tense silence. My mind races as I try to figure out what he's about to say. Has something gone wrong? Did the investigator find something else? What is it? I ask as soon as we're out of earshot. Jackson looks at me, his expression unreadable. Michael, the investigator, he found something. Something I didn't expect. What do you mean? He hesitates, as if searching for the right words. It's not just Claire and Ryan, Michael. There's someone else involved. My stomach drops. What are you talking about? Jackson takes a deep breath, his eyes locked on mine. Michael, Claire, she's not the only one who's been lying to you. Your cousin, Ryan, he's been lying to both of you. What are you saying? My voice is barely more than a whisper, my mind struggling to process what he's telling me. Ryan wasn't just sleeping with Claire, Jackson says, his voice low and serious. He's been setting both of you up. He wanted to hurt you, Michael, and he used Claire to do it. The room seems to spin around me as the realization hits. Ryan didn't just betray me with Claire, he manipulated her, used her to get to me. And Claire, caught in his web, never saw it coming. How do you know? I ask, my voice shaking with a mixture of disbelief and anger. The investigator dug into Ryan's background, Jackson explains. He's been in trouble before, blackmail, manipulation, you name it. He's done this to other people, Michael. He finds their weaknesses and exploits them. I stagger back, the weight of the truth almost too much to bear. All this time, I thought Claire was the one who betrayed me, but it was Ryan who pulled the strings. He used her to destroy me, and in doing so, he destroyed her too. Michael, you need to confront him, Jackson says, his voice urgent. He's been playing both sides, and he's counting on you not finding out. My mind races as I try to make sense of everything. Ryan was never my cousin, at least, not in the way I thought. He was a snake, slithering into my life, poisoning everything I held dear. And Claire, she was his pawn, a victim of his games, just like me. Without another word, I storm back into the living room, my heart pounding with a new fury. Claire and Ryan look up as I enter, their faces tense with anticipation. You bastard, I spit, my eyes locked on Ryan. You've been lying to both of us. Ryan's face pales, but he quickly recovers, his expression hardening. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play dumb, I snap, my voice trembling with rage. I know everything. You've been manipulating Claire, using her to get to me. You set this whole thing up, didn't you? You wanted to ruin my life, and you used her to do it. Claire's eyes widen in shock, her gaze flicking between us as the truth sinks in. Ryan, is that true? Did you? Shut up, Claire, Ryan snarls, his facade cracking. You were too easy. Too desperate for attention. You practically fell into my lap. Tears well up in Claire's eyes, her face crumpling as she realizes the depth of his betrayal. I trusted you, she whispers, her voice breaking. I thought you cared about me. Care about you? Ryan scoffs, his voice dripping with contempt. You were just a means to an end. I wanted to destroy Michael, and you were the perfect tool. The room falls into a stunned silence, the weight of Ryan's confession hanging heavy in the air. I see the realization dawning on Claire's face. The man she thought she loved, the man she risked everything for, never cared about her at all. He used her, just like he used me. But Ryan isn't finished. He turns to me, a twisted smile spreading across his face. You think you've won, Michael? You think you're the victim here? You were always so high and mighty, so sure of yourself. I wanted to bring you down to my level, to show you that you're no better than the rest of us. My hands clench into fists at my sides, the anger boiling over. You're sick, Ryan. You used our family, our trust, for your own twisted games. But it ends here. You're done. Ryan's smile falters as he realizes that his plan has failed, that his carefully constructed web of lies is unraveling. He opens his mouth to speak, but I don't give him the chance. With a swift motion, I step forward and punch him square in the jaw, the force of the blow sending him stumbling back. Get out, I say, my voice cold and commanding. Get out of my house, and don't ever come back. You're dead to me. Ryan glares at me, rubbing his jaw, but he doesn't argue. He knows he's lost. Without another word, he turns and storms out of the house, slamming the door behind him. The sound echoes through the room, signaling the end of everything. I turn to Claire, who's still sitting on the couch, tears streaming down her face. For a moment, I feel a pang of sympathy for her, but it quickly fades. She made her choices, and now she has to live with them. Claire, I say, my voice cold and detached, I want you to pack your things and leave. We're done. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with sorrow and regret. Michael, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know what he was doing. It doesn't matter, I reply, my voice steady. You betrayed me, Claire. You chose him over us. And now, there's nothing left. She nods, her shoulders slumping as the weight of her actions finally sinks in. Without another word, she stands up and walks out of the room, her footsteps heavy as she heads upstairs to pack. I watch her go, the last remnants of our life together slipping away. There's no going back now. The love we once shared has been destroyed, twisted beyond recognition by lies, deceit, and betrayal. I step outside, the night air cool against my skin as I stand on the porch, staring out into the darkness. The future is uncertain, filled with the rubble of what used to be. But as I take a deep breath, I realize that I'm ready to face it. Claire and Ryan are gone, leaving only the shattered pieces of our past. But from those pieces, I can rebuild. I can move forward, free from the chains of deceit that once bound me. And as the first light of dawn breaks over the horizon, I know that this is the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, a chapter where I will never allow myself to be betrayed again.